Hello, everybody. Welcome to those people just jumping in. I'm going to be letting more people in throughout the lesson just because of how the Zoom is working. So if I say welcome again, don't mind me. But guys, comment down below if everything is okay. Comment down below if you guys can see the screen and just let me know if everything's all good. And tell me, guys, how is everything going today? Comment down below, how are you guys all going today? Now, at some point, if there is some unproductive, irrelevant comments in the chat, I will have to stop the chat. Anyone that's joined one of these free lessons before will know that unfortunately it can get a little bit hectic at times. So just keep that in mind, guys. Make sure we're keeping our comments relevant and not getting anything, inappropriate or anything like that. Okay, last time I did have to kick a few people out, so you don't want that to be you. Okay, I'm seeing some familiar names. Good to see you guys. Also some new people. Awesome. So okay, we're gonna get started now. Again, just if anyone's jumping in, guys, I'm just gonna be starting the lesson now. So welcome, everybody. My name is Cullen. I'll spell it out on the page for you guys to see. And let me know in the comments if there are ever any problems with the technology, if you can't see a particular thing. So my name is Cullen. I'm one of the main tutors here at Scholarly. Just a bit of background on me. I graduated with a 99.95 ATAR, and I've been using the kind of skills that I developed along my way from, primary school through selective high school, everything like that, all those kind of stages of my life, doing different parts of that. I've been using those skills and I've been teaching those ever since. So it's lovely to see everybody. And good to see some of my own students saying hi as well. That's good. And so, yeah, so that's basically me. This is Cullen. And today we're going to be going through thinking skills, particularly logic games. Okay, so logic games can be really tricky and really wordy as well. As you can see from this first question, it's pretty big, right? So we're going to discuss some strategies, some techniques, things to do with that, and basically just going to be overall just trying some questions and having a nice little lesson here. Okay, so basically, just for those of wondering how long the lesson is going to be, it will probably be around 45 minutes to an hour. We'll see how we go. Okay. Now, awesome. I'm seeing some people having some audio problems. I would probably have a look in your Zoom audio settings. So go into Zoom preferences, have a look at your audio. I assume everybody can hear me based on the comments. So, yeah, I think it might be an issue on your end. But unfortunately, you can't hear me say that if you're having audio problems. So hopefully, can someone just message in the chat to go into the audio preferences for those who can't hear? That would be really helpful. All right, so let's just get started without further ado. Again, anyone jumping in now, my name's Cullen. We're going to be doing logic games today. Let's just get started. No more dilly-dallying. Okay, so the first question, we're going to discuss a few techniques here. Basically, some of these logic questions, they have a very similar kind of structure. You might get a big kind of string of a list of different, in this case, songs. And you have to pair these with a bunch of different categories. Okay, so in this case, one piece of advice I will first of all give is to always be writing down as soon as you can, putting down letters to signify different categories. So for instance, rather than writing down Mary Had a Little Lamb, Why, Lost Boy, Tiny Heart, Cry Me a River, just writing down straight away as you're reading MLW. Okay, now I notice there's an L doubling up, so I might write LO and LA, for instance. Tiny Heart, Cry Me a River. Just simply getting a letter down there will instantly help you be able to do these questions, because you want to be putting any information you have on the page. You don't want to be keeping any information, in your head. Okay, because again, having to try and store things in your brain. I say this quite a lot. Use your brain for thinking, not for storing. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn the chat off, guys, because I'm seeing some spamming of the chat. Unfortunately, like I said, if we're gonna just be spamming, unfortunately, we can't have that chat. It's a privilege to be able to comment at the moment, especially when we have such a massive class at a time. Obviously, the usual classes, as a lot of you guys will know, are much smaller, maybe 20 to 30 kids. So having these massive classes means that any spamming is going to ruin it for a lot of people. So just keep in mind, I may open the chat later on, no spamming. Okay, but back to this. Basically, you want to use your brain for the thinking side of things and being able to work through the clues, and simply use the paper in front of you to store any information. And so being able to basically condense everything into a little table is really useful. So again, first tip, write down shorthand as soon as you read the question. Now, each song is played only with one of these 5 instruments. No instruments played in more than one song. Okay, so we've got these instruments: guitar, clarinet, flute, drum, violin. Now, this is one of those situations, okay, where you have basically, you have the same amount, you have the instruments, okay, clarinet, flute, drum, violin, and you have the songs. Okay, I just realized I wrote Mary Had a Little Lamb as 2 songs. We really have just 5 songs and 5 instruments. Okay, anyway, there we go. We can see there that that is 5 songs and 5 instruments. You just pair it up simply 1-to-1. Let's get through the clues now. My next tip that I'm going to give you for logic games is to always approach the concrete clues first. Okay, concrete clues first. All right. Now, what is a concrete clue? A concrete clue is something that gives you a piece of information directly. Okay, so rather than, if we look at the, for instance, second song, there are no drums or violins in Mary Had a Little Lamb. Now, this gives us some information, certainly, but it doesn't give us a direct piece of information. This is not a concrete clue. This is a concrete clue. You can find a flute in the Tiny Heart song. We know flute is going to go with Tiny Heart. Boom. F belongs to T there. Okay, so that is a concrete clue. Focus on concrete clues first, because the concrete clues will help you get the other clues. You'll see in a second. The other concrete clue, there is one more. Lost Boy is a song with a guitar on it. So you bring the guitar to the Lost Boy. All right, and now I can make that just L, because it is the only song that starts with L. Okay, now we can then look at the other clues. So concrete clues ticked off. That should be your first port of call. Concrete clues straight away. Okay, now we move on to the other types of clues. All right, so we can see here that you have, for instance, this one here, there are no drums or violins in Mary Had a Little Lamb. So that means that we don't have drums, we don't have violins for Mary Had a Little Lamb. So there's only one left at the moment. Now notice, if we looked at that clue first, we wouldn't have been able to get the answer. However, now we can, because we've got this and we've put these here already. So we can see that the clarinet, okay, the clarinet is the one that has to go with Mary Had a Little Lamb. Okay. Now, another tip that I would give, okay, so we've ticked off the clues, is to basically, as soon as a clue has been completely used, cross it out so it's out of your periphery and it's not crowding your vision. So we've got Mary Had a Little Lamb. The only clue that's left now is there are no drums in Crimea River. So because we know that Crimea River is going to be having the violin, which leaves only one more for the Y song, which would be the drums. So now it's basically just going through the answers and having a look which one makes sense. And so we can see Crimea River played with the violin is correct, because you can see that the C lines up with the V over here, and all of these others are wrong. Now, usually I will, again, we'll go through some other types of questions where there is some other hints. But my usual advice is to always realize that you have 4 possibilities. There are only 4 possibilities as to how this question can be done, or the answer to this question. So you don't actually always need to solve every last bit of it. Okay, over here, we did happen to solve every last bit of it. It's not too tricky to do. However, there are some questions where it is incredibly tricky to solve every aspect of the question. And that will be our next one here. Our next one incoming over here. Notice a lot of clues. We have 6 wineries. Okay, not only do you have 3 different types of wines tasted, white, red, and sparkling, but you also have an ordering of, which order each one was visited on. Now, this is the approach to always have a look at the answers before you do the question, just so you know what you have to look out for. So what I noticed, first of all, when looking at the answers, is that all of the answers have only the ordering. All right. The question asks which of the following statements must be true, but all it has is simply ordering. So we do not need to know anything about the white, red, or sparkling aspects of this question because it will never come up as part of the answer. Okay, so I'm going to open the chat just now, okay? And I want everyone to let me know if everyone is clear so far. Comment down below, crystal clear. Give me a hashtag crystal clear if you're feeling clear so far, guys. Let me know if that makes sense. Okay, now, awesome, I'm seeing crystal clear. Now, if anyone has any problems, feel free to comment it, and I can always answer some questions. Unfortunately, I don't have, time in this webinar to be able to actually answer anyone who has their hands up, that kind of thing. So you can just put a question in the chat and hopefully I'll be able to read that. But yeah, it just is a bit of a tricky format when we have so many people and a bit of a limited time to get to a lot of stuff. So I'm going to close the chat now because I'm seeing plenty of people are crystal clear and again, can't see any immediate questions coming through. So let's continue with this one now. Now, again, like I said, noticing this already saves us a lot of time because we know that we're just thinking about the ordering. Now, we're going to go through a few more ordering questions after this. There is a very, very clear way to approach these questions that, again, we would break down, like, in normal classes, we dedicate entire lessons to this. But ordering questions, if you see 6 wineries, your instant kind of instinct should be to draw up 6 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, knowing that you will have to order them like, okay? Now, if we have a look at all these wineries, notice it should be, again, your first instinct to look for concrete clues, okay? So anything like, oh, stops at this one after or before, we can use that later. I see one concrete clue right now for the order. I see this one here. The group visits Satui last. So I'm going to put an S at the end, okay? Knowing that this is the order. So this is how you structure these things here. You go from first to last, which would be 6th there. Okay. So Satui last. Now, I can already see Satui is 5th on the tour. I'm going to rule that one out. Okay. Because we can see that it's clearly not 5th. It is 6th. Using basically what we call a process of elimination for these types of questions is actually a quick way to get it, such that you don't have to solve the whole thing. If you're keeping an eye on the answers, you can know, what you have to basically rule out or circle, because you can get your answer pretty quickly. Now, the next thing, if you've got no more concrete clues, you should look at the clue closest to your concrete clue. So for instance, we have a concrete clue about Satui. We have a piece of information about the S. So I should be looking out for S. Now I notice one up here. The group stops at Satui either immediately before or immediately after Piketty. Now, we can see here, right? This actually gives us a concrete piece of information. Can anyone tell me, even though it says immediately before or immediately after, what does this actually tell us? What does this clue actually tell us? I'm going to open up the chat. Now, I want you guys to comment down below. What does this clue actually tell us? Comment down below, guys. What does this clue tell us? Good. That P is going to be 5th on the list. Good. I'll take off the chat for now, again, just so it doesn't lag for too many people. But yeah, basically we know that P now has to go over here, okay? Because if it either is immediately before or immediately after Piketty, right? We know it can't be immediately before Piketty because there's no room for it, right? It has to go over here. Now, again, looking back to the answers, I'm constantly glancing at the answers to see if I've answered the question. Now I see Piketty is 5th on the tour. D is my answer. All right, I've already got my answer of D. Right? So notice this question gave us the ability to take a really complex, massive question and be able to condense it down into a much shorter process. I mean, of course, I was explaining each technique along the way, but if you were doing this yourself with this same approach, it would be a very, very quick process to simply look for concrete clues, look for clues, glance at your answers to see if you've answered it, constantly have a quick glance at your answers. And that way you can be ruling out, you can be getting your answer. And it's actually quite rare that you will solve the entire logic game, right, before you've gotten the answer. It's actually quite rare that that happens. Okay, so again, my overall tip would be, is that when you're doing these questions, your goal, right, is to get the answer, not to solve the puzzle. Okay, you don't have to solve the entire puzzle, you just have to get the answer. So however quickly you can get that answer, that should be what you're prioritizing. Okay, guys, so for this question, I want you guys to let me know if that is crystal clear. I will open up the chat again. Let me know if that is crystal clear, everybody. Comment that down below. Comment that down below, everyone, if that is crystal clear. Okay, I'm seeing crystal clear, crystal clear. All right. Okay, cool. So overall, I kind of want to be looking at these strategies. I want you guys to keep in mind these strategies, okay? Instead of looking at the specifics as much. As long as you understand the strategies and you can see how they're applied, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm going to turn off the chat now. Turn off the chat now. All right. So just addressing a few questions that I see. Someone's mentioning, and rightfully so, it's a good question, mentioning the idea over here that this clue says stops at Shandong before Satui. Now, in these ordering questions, again, it's kind of a vocabulary that after you spend a lot of time doing these questions, this is something that you'll get used to, but stopping before does not mean immediately before. So there is a distinction in logic games and thinking skills that before and immediately before are different. So Shandong before Satui just means that Shandong is going to go in one of these, because any of these will be before Satui. Okay? Any of them will be before. Immediately before, that's what gave us the P here, because it says immediately before or immediately after. Right? The immediately after is what gave us the clue. But give me a thumbs up if that clears that up for you, if that makes sense. If everything makes sense, give me a thumbs up, guys. And yeah, basically the approach is concrete clues first, glance at your answers. Make sure you have an eye on your answers, okay? So hopefully that is pretty clear. Now, as I am seeing some people just jumping in now, I'm letting people in constantly. So if you guys are just jumping in a little bit late, we're basically going through logic games, puzzles. My name's Cullen. We're going through strategies, techniques, that kind of thing. That's basically what the point of this webinar is going to be. Okay, so that's that question done and dusted. Again, hopefully we learned some good strategies as to really you can do like almost nothing and still get the answer compared to how big and grand the problem can seem. Now, let's have a look at question 3. Okay, now, so some people may actually recognize some of these questions. They are from some, recent trial tests and stuff. So I wanted to give you guys things that, we're currently doing at the moment, so you can kind of see how that all fits in. So if you are recognizing this, I think I might go to some different questions that would be from different people's trial tests and different sources of questions, so that you guys are not seeing double ups for those students who are, who are joining us again. So let's have a look at this, this question here, question 9. Okay. Now, again, a lot of information here. Okay, a lot of information to break down. However, again, we should just keep it simple, have some diagrams. So we have all these people here, Miranda, Haland, Steph, Gigi, Marlon, and Ariel, all working for one power plant. Every year, plant shuts down, not one of their responsibilities. Okay, again, you can kind of scan through the context information because, again, logic games are very much a, they give you the context, which you don't really need to know, and then you just have the names, the places, that kind of thing, and you line it up like that. So we've got all those names. However, they were not unified in deciding. Okay, so they've given some conditions. They only need to choose between Hong Kong or Taiwan as a destination, but not both. Okay, these are the rules. So we can either have Hong Kong or Taiwan. Now, another thing that can sometimes slip under the radar is sometimes a clue is actually given in the question, like when it's asking the question. I've seen a few students actually try to do the question and not actually understand why they can't get the question, because sometimes they skim over that and they just say, oh, what's the minimum number? Okay, and they look at the clues. However, another clue is actually given here, and this is the only real concrete clue. So Ariel chooses Taiwan. All right, so Ariel, we'll put Ariel under Taiwan here. All right, now it's asking what is the minimum. So basically, minimum means which teenagers must. Okay, so again, in classes, we usually discuss things like 100% words and, possible words, which is like, what is the maximum, I suppose. But this is the idea of which ones basically must choose Taiwan based on the logic provided. So comment down below, guys. I'm going to open up the chats. I'm going to see if anyone has, can work out the answer. My thing is lagging a tiny bit, so let's see if I can hopefully get that. Okay, so I'm going to open the chat and let me know if you guys can see the answer there. I'm seeing a bit of a mixture, actually, some B's, some C's. Okay, so I'm going to turn off the chat now. Okay, so now first of all, of course, we are told about aerial, okay? So we should start, your eye should go as close to the original problem or as closest to the clue that you just have as you possibly can go. All right, so if I'm talking about aerial or if it's mentioning aerial, I'm going to look for aerial. You want to work from one clue and work slowly outwards, okay? So Ariel chooses Taiwan, which she did. Then Gigi and Marlon also choose Taiwan. Easily, we have gotten some certainties there. However, since we have Marlon here, right, now we have, if Marlon chooses Taiwan, then Haaland also chooses Taiwan. So Haaland is also here. Okay, so we can see here that in fact, we can see all of these ones here. Okay, all of these ones here mentioning as being part of the Taiwan. Okay, now in this case here, right, let's just make sure that none of the other clues are, binding. So we have a mention of Steph choosing Taiwan or Miranda choosing Hong Kong. However, there is no need for them to 100% be part of that, okay? Because again, there's no Miranda, there's no Steph in these. So we simply have Ariel, we have Gigi, and we have Marlon, and we have Haaland. Okay, so those are the four. So the answer is going to be 4. All right. Now, let me know, guys, if this is crystal clear. Comment down below, guys. Is this crystal clear here? I'll open up the chat again. Let me know if you guys understand this. Again, make sure you're looking from the clue that you use, so concrete clue, then work outwards and start from Ariel. Then notice we worked outwards from there. We saw Gigi, we saw Marlon, we concentrated on them, and we brought that. We looked for a clue here, Marlon. Okay. The others, not relevant. So yeah, we don't need to know about that. All right. So let's now I'm going to turn off the chat. Let's now move on. I'm seeing plenty of crystal clears, plenty of understoods. Awesome stuff. Okay, so let's do a different question now. I think a really good question. Again, some of the scholarly students may have seen this in recent times. Actually, no, I'll pick this one, I think this one we will see that we haven't seen this in recent times. This one is another bit of a challenge, I must say. So let's have a look at this one. Question 6. I have a 4-digit code for my school computer. All 2-digit combinations that can be derived out from 2 consecutive or adjacent digits should be more than 10, but less than or equal to 50. These numbers are not used. So the entire code does not contain any repetition. So no digits repeated throughout the entire code. The digits are going to sum to 9. What could be the possible second and third digits of the code? I want you guys to actually have a go at this and comment down below if you guys get an answer. This one is quite tricky, I must say. Just remember that, again, digits include anything from 0 to 9, but we know that 6, 7, 8, 9 are not used, so only 0 to 5 is possible. Now, let me give you an example of the process we would use here. For instance, if we're looking at A, we would say, okay, again, it's a 4-digit code. Okay, so the middle 2 digits would be 3 and 1. Right? If the middle 2 digits are 3 and 1, then we've got to ask ourselves, okay, what can possibly go over here in order to add this up to 9? So basically we see, okay, the total so far is 4. The total so far is 4. How much is left? Well, that means we've got 5 left for it to add up to 9. There's only a certain amount of ways that you can actually add up to 5. There's only a certain amount of ways you can do that, right? We could have 2 and 3. Oh, but that would have a repetition. So that one's wrong. We could also have 4 and 1. Okay, but that would have another repetition. So no matter where we put the 4, no matter where we put the 1, can't do that. Now, another possibility is actually 5 and 0. However, is 5 and 0 possible, guys? I want you guys to comment down below, considering all the clues. Give me a yes or no. Is 5 and 0 a possibility for these other numbers? Even though it will add up to 9, is it a possibility? Yes or no? Okay, I'm seeing lots of no's, some yeses though. So let me explain. The other clue that we saw was that the adjacent digits, this idea of the 2-digit combination. So for instance, let's put these down here. Let's say we do 5 and 0. 2-digit combination. So taking this as a 2-digit combination, taking this as a 2-digit combination, and this, we can see that it has to be at most equal to 50. So this would be violated here. That's over 50, right? The next aspect, if we flip them around and we see that if we put 0 over here and 5 over here, you can see it's violating it over here because it needs to be more than 10. And this is 03. Okay, so for that reason, we can actually rule out option A. So I want you guys to have a think about how you can do this with no repetitions. Okay, have a think about how you can do this with no repetitions and comment down below if you have an answer. All right, so I'm going to open the chat. I want you guys to comment down below if you guys have an answer for this. Let me know, A, B, C, or D. Guys, and please no spamming. Just add your comment just once, please. Just once. Okay. All righty. I'm seeing lots and lots of B. That looks good. Okay. So let me turn back off the chat. Okay. So yeah, so B, if we have a look at B, right, we can see 4 and 2. Let's try out B. Again, sometimes a process of elimination is the best way to do this. Okay. So if in the case that we have 4 and 2 as the second and third digits, in the case that we have 4 and 2 as the second and third digits, then, right, we will see that the total so far is 6. So we have 3 left to equal up to the total of 9. All right. So there's only a few ways we can get 3. You can have 2 and 1, which wouldn't work, or you could have 3 and 0. The reason 2 and 1 wouldn't work is because you'd have a repetition. Now 3 and 0, oh, that would work, for instance, because you could have 34, that's not over 50, 42, that's not over 50, and 20, that's not over 50. No repetitions either. So that actually works. So B works. Now, for all the same reasons, you may see that the others are failing. So for instance, 0 and 2, already you can see that you'd have to have 7 to make that up. And because of the 0, already that 0 and 2, that's a number less than 10. So D you can rule out because no matter where that 0 is in the second and third position, you're going to have a number less than 10. If the 0 is over here, for instance, you will still have a number less than 10. No matter what number this is, still be a number less than 10. So that's why D is ruled out. And then with option C, you can see here that 1 and 4, okay, you can see 1 and 4, you really can't make up an extra 4 because this is total of 5 so far, meaning you have 4 left. And the only ways you can do that is 2 and 2, which would be a repetition, or 3 and 1, which would also be a repetition of the 1s. Or 4 and 0, which would be a repetition of the 4s. Okay, so hopefully I've established why all of these answers cannot be the case, okay? And the answer is B. Guys, give me a thumbs up if everything is making sense. Comment down below, give me a thumbs up if everything's making sense, guys, for this question. And if you can see why the answer is option B there. Let me know, everybody. Comment down below. All righty. Awesome stuff, guys. Awesome stuff. Okay, so let's have a look at an ordering question. I mentioned the ordering questions as a specific type of question that we really have to get accustomed to. And here we can kind of see, again, the strategies that the techniques come into play straight away. So we've got 5 celebrity brands. And again, 5 celebrity brands, we seem to be ordering. Notice the answers are asking us to order first, second, third, fourth. So we can immediately jump to the ordering. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that we need to order here. Okay, now let me check if you guys have been listening. I'm going to open the chat. What should we be looking for first? What do I say we should be looking for first, guys? Comment down below. What should we be looking for first? Good. Concrete clues. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to turn off the chat again. It's a bit crazy and it might start lagging in a second. So, concrete clues. Awesome. So, let's see if there's any concrete clues. We see here, this one, not a concrete clue. It's giving you some idea that could help later after you've got the concrete clues. Then again, this one is giving you some order, but it's not giving you a concrete clue. This one is a concrete clue. True's launch party should be in the 3rd week. T, 3rd week. Okay. So now let's have a look at what's left. We've got Kiki, Ari, Fen, and Ray. Okay. Now there are a few things we can do here, right? There are a few things we can do here. We can see that, okay, we can see that Kiki and True's launch parties cannot be done in consecutive weeks. We can't really do much with that, but what we know is that Kiki can't go here or here because those would be Kiki and True being in consecutive weeks. So when you have an option or you're down to 2, sometimes I like just writing, both letters underneath, just so you can kind of know that that's what you're picking between. So basically always writing down your available info and the clues that you have and what's left. It's always good to just constantly update your thoughts and get them down. a lot of the time, and I see this happen so often, and it happened to me all the time as well before I kind of realized how important it is to get things down, is that I'd keep these clues. Okay, so Kiki has to go here and here. Okay, all good. Then this person has to go here and here. Okay, and you try and keep it in your mind, and eventually little bits start slipping. You might forget something. So important to get it down, right? You need to get it down on the page. Again, brain for thinking, page for storing. So now let's have a look. So again, I've used this clue. I've now used this clue to its exhaustion. There's no other information I can get out of that clue. So I'm going to cross them out. So I'm now only focused on 2 clues. So Fen's launch party date should be in the week right after Ray's. Okay, so again, that tells us that these are a package. Okay, that Fen and Ray is a package. Okay, but it's not telling me whether they go here or here. Okay, now if we see this, Ari has to have their launch party ahead of Kiki's. Well, that tells us that Ari has to be before Kiki. So if Kiki was first, right? If Kiki was first, we wouldn't be able to have Ari having their launch before Kiki. So that means that Kiki has to go last because Ari has to be somewhere here. Whereas if Kiki was here, there's no space for Ari to be. Okay? So we can see there that Kiki has to go in the last spot. Okay, again, we've used that clue. So now we can have a look at our other clues, which is the fact that Ray and Fen have to go directly together. So the only way you can get a combo of 2, all right, is in this first position here. You can't put them there anymore. Can't put them there. They need to stay together. So they have to go here. Notice this is quite a complicated question if you're keeping this information in your head. For instance, just reading these clues, if you don't write anything down, I assure you, you'll have a hard time putting these clues together. Because noticing things like consecutives, where there's only one spot that a consecutive can actually go, that's a hard thing to do unless you actually have the order in front of you. Again, putting this one here because of this other clue, these are kind of, these clues having all these distant kind of connections on each other and influencing each other and changing the way the question goes. It's hard to see, right, without this here. So comment down below, guys. Is everything here making sense? Let me know down below if everything is here is making sense, guys. Comment down below. Is this all making sense? Okay, so we can see that in this case, right, Ari, the only place left for Ari to go would be over here. Okay, and so that means that the answer would be 4th week. Okay, so let me know if that's making sense, guys. If you can see how that works, let me know down below. Okay, so I'm seeing plenty of the answer there. Awesome stuff. Okay, so let me turn off the chat. It's getting a bit crazy again. Okay, we'll probably do a few more. We'll see how we go. So let's have a look at another ordering one. Just because we've just done an ordering one, let's put those skills and let's see if we can use those skills to directly give the answer here. So I'm making a bit of a celebrity appearance alongside some of my other tutors, some of the other tutors of Scholarly here. So during a lottery, 5 players were given random numbers, ranked. As soon as you see rank and as soon as you see the answers giving these ranks, we've got a ranking here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I'm actually going to open up the comments here, and I'm going to, just for a bit, to see if people can already run through, look at some of these clues, and get the answer here. So again, of course, we need a concrete clue. Okay, we need a concrete clue. So Anastasia beat 3 people is a concrete clue. Okay, because that means that Anastasia has to come here because she beat exactly 3 people. So I'm seeing some people mentioning Anastasia second. Good. That is the concrete clue that we can go off straight away. All of these other ones here are not concrete clues. Steve said that his number is neither the highest nor the lowest. So that puts Steve to here or here. Because Steve cannot be here, Steve cannot be here. Okay? Now again, Cullen claims his number places him either 3rd or 4th. There you go. Cullen has to be there and there. So either way, no matter what, we can see here, right, that if one of them is here, if Steve is here, Cullen has to be here. If Cullen is here, Steve has to be here. They've locked off these positions here. So in terms of James's rank, we can actually already rule out 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Okay? Now, we are told that James has a higher number than Cullen. Okay? That means that James has to have come higher than Cullen. We know Cullen comes in this box. Again, you're not going to actually be able to work out where Steve and where Cullen is in this case. Okay? Based on these clues. However, locking off a box tells you, okay, James has to be higher than this box, so James will have to be here. Because if it was here, no matter where Cullen is, right, he wouldn't be higher than Cullen. So James wins the contest, all right, ranks, gets the highest rank, and the answer would be A first. All right, guys, give me a nice, juicy Hashtag crystal clear if you guys understand this. Again, ordering questions can be really tricky because you have to have a lot of strategies. It's not just putting this person in third, this person in second, this person in fourth, this person in fifth. It's sometimes using overall strategies. And again, having an entire lesson on these kind of things makes them easy. But when you're first learning it, it can be hard. So it's important to take note of these techniques. Okay. So I'm seeing a lot of crystal clear, but again, too many messages to be able to properly register everything. So I'm going to unfortunately turn off the chat. But thank you guys for commenting. And thanks to those people who aren't spamming and that kind of thing. Okay, so I reckon we should have a look at another question. Now, I really like this question. I think it really engages all different parts of thinking, and it really gets you to learn how to use counting strategies, use the paper to your advantage, that kind of thing. So let's have a read of this. During the Ironman Triathlon event, each participant given a number. Number has 3 cards. Each card is going from 0 to 9. Now, shown below, there's a sample number of participant whose number is 135, okay? So each one depends on the position during registration. Okay, so the first participant, this is super actually important, 000 was the first participant. Now, we're told 423 participants registered. How many cards containing the number 3 will be needed? So this is quite a crazy question. We've got a lot of numbers to consider, and we can't just sit there and go, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's 1. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, that's another one. That would take a very, very long time to take that approach, right? And go all the way up to 423. Because as you can see from these answers, you don't want to be counting. You're going to run out of fingers when you're getting to this amount of counting. So you've got to come up with a strategy. And that is a lot of the thinking skills. The skills that is associated with it is being able to make a process quicker, be able to, recognize patterns. So one thing that, first of all, is this idea of starting at 0. Normally when we count in our system, you would start with 1. The 5th number is 5 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. However, if you start at 0, which sometimes this is going to happen, you're going to start at 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th number you get to is 4. So there's always going to be 1 less than the actual number of participants. So if you have 423 participants, guys, what is going to be the highest card that you will see? I'm going to open up the chat for this. What is going to be the highest number card that you will see in 423 participants? Good. It will be 422. Good. 422 because, 423 would be if you're starting from 1, but because you're starting from 0, every number is kind of offset by 1. Okay. So you'll have 422 as your final number. Now, when you're looking for patterns, again, trying to count all these numbers, you should be trying to look for patterns. So the easiest pattern to find is break things up into certain groups. Okay. So first of all, every time you count through a set of 10s in the ones position, you're going to have 1 3 for every set of 10, right? So for instance, going from 0 to 10, you'll have 1 3. Going from 10 to 20, you'll have another 3, right? Just in that 3, 13, 23, 30, 33, 43, 53, 63, 73. So we're not including any of the 30s. We're not including any of the 300s, just working bit by bit, working digit by digit. So if we think about the ones position here, okay, think about the ones position. So the very rightmost card, you'll basically have 1 3 pop up every single lot of 10. So for instance, if you go in the first 100, so from 0 to 100, or I suppose I'll go to 99 in order for this to be 100 numbers, right? So from 0 to 99, we will see that there will be 10 3s in the ones position. Okay, we're just dealing with ones now. Again, categorize things, get patterns. Okay, in the next 100, you will get, another 10 3s. Okay, in the ones position. Again, we're not including the 30s yet, all that kind of thing. Now, again, making this pattern, we will see we get another 10 3s. Okay, and then the thing is that, 300, obviously we're going to have a lot of 3s because every single number has a 3. But again, in the ones position, we'll have 10 3s. Okay, now from 400 to 422, it's a different story. We'll only have 403 in that ones position, then 413 in that ones position, and we won't even have 423 because the numbers don't reach that high. So there are actually only 2 3s in the ones position. So that is the ones positions. Notice how you break it up, break your work down into sections so that it's easier for you to do. Now, let's talk about the tens position now. Let's talk about the tens position. This position. But let me know, guys, give me a thumbs up if you're clear so far about how I counted all the threes that appear in just this card here. Give me a thumbs up if you guys understand that. I was just looking at one bit of a time. Break your work down into sections. Okay, break your work down into sections so you're not taking on too much work at a time. Okay, now we're going to be looking at the tens. Okay, if we look at the tens, which is just this second one here. Okay, this second one. Now, obviously, every 100 has a group of the 30s, right? 33, 34, 35, 36, all the way. So from 30 to 39, that's going to be another 10 threes. If you count it, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39. That's 10. The next one is 40. No more threes in the 10 position. So in the tens, you have another 10. Okay? Because all of the 30s, that's it. All of the 30s. So then same thing here, same thing here. Now, in the 300s, again, you're going to have 10 in the 10 section, okay? We'll get to the hundreds where we have to add up a lot more than that, okay? So now, again, in the 10 sections, we don't reach the 30s for the 400s. So there you go. We're going to have 0. Does this make sense, guys? Comment down below. Sorry, give me a thumbs up if this is making sense so far for the 10s. Let me know if you guys understand the 10s. Give me a thumbs up. And then finally, the hundreds. Again, this is not too tricky because obviously all of these are going to have no threes in the hundreds. And of course, in the 300s, you're just going to have 100 threes, right? From 0 to 99. Again, that's 100 numbers because you're starting from 0, you're including the 0, so that when you get to 99, even though you think, oh, I've only got to 399, it's still 100 numbers. It's still 100 numbers in total because, again, if you're counting from 1, sure, it'll be the 99th number, but you're counting from 0 in all of these cases. So now, hopefully we can see what the answer is. Comment down below if you guys can see what the answer is already. Comment down below. So all you have to do is basically just add up these numbers. All right. So again, strategies for adding up quickly. I'm looking at 8 tens over here. So I've got 80, then I've got 180, 182. Okay. So just adding those up, 180 plus 2, that gives me 182. So the answer is going to be option B. All right. So guys, give me a hashtag. Let's do hashtag diamond clear if you guys are understanding this. Comment down below hashtag diamond clear if you guys understand this question here. Give me a hashtag diamond clear, everybody. Comment down below. Is that diamond clear? Okay, awesome. Again, sorry if I'm missing 1 or 2 comments here or there. Again, this free lesson is not very typical in terms of the style of our lessons because, again, we've just got about 20 times or 10 times the amount of people that we'd normally have in each class. So the comments are a bit harder to control, but that's just the nature of this. I'm glad that we can still provide a lesson to so many people, even if it is in a bit of a compromised form. Okay, so from what I can see, diamond clear all the way through. Now, guys, I just want to make sure you guys know that if you have any problems whatsoever, you can always message Steve on Facebook. Hopefully you've seen that profile, but if not, there'll be linked the WhatsApp. There's a WhatsApp for any support. So if you have any issues or have any questions, you can message that as well, WhatsApp support or Steve's Facebook, just so you guys know. Now, I'm seeing, just scrolling through now, I'm just making sure that I'm not missing any comments. I am seeing some people saying they're not entirely sure, just a few people not entirely sure. So I'll just briefly run through one more time, not the whole question, but just the general things to hopefully be able to understand this. And then hopefully that'll, again, just tick off the techniques. Again, it's more of a techniques kind of lesson to teach you guys approaches, because you probably won't get this question, but similar questions, be able to approach them. So the main idea is categorizing. There's no point thinking about and counting every single one in one go, because you won't be able to have patterns. The great thing about breaking things down, the more you break things down, the more patterns appear. That's a bit of a quote that I think is really important to understand. The more you break things down, so the more you break things down, the more patterns appear. Okay, more patterns appear. So when we broke this down into ones, there is a clear pattern. Apart from the 400s, they're a bit of an exception, but you can literally count all of the threes that appear in the 400s because you've got 403, 413, that's it. All right, so we can even almost exclude this from our calculations. Now, again, using the patterns of breaking down into ones, we realize that in this digit here, when I say ones, I mean the rightmost digit. There is always going to be 10 threes because you've got the, for example, let's have a look at the hundreds. You've got 103, 113, 123, 33, 43, 153, 163, 173, 83, 93. That's 10, right? Again, because we include zero, because we include zero and we include the 9, there's really 10. There's really 10 of everything, rather than when you may think, oh, we're only going through 9, 9 lots of 10, that kind of thing. There's always going to be 10 when you're including 0. It's one of those tricky things to work out. Okay, now same thing for the 10s. We did the same process, and then the hundreds is much easier to see because it's only the 300s. So my advice, if you're not sure about this question, still after that explanation, I would advise you to break things down into categories and think about each category. It's much easier to think about just this number here than it is to think about the whole of it. So break things down, more patterns appear, it becomes simple. So give me a thumbs up, guys, if everything there is making sense. Comment down below, thumbs up if that is all making sense. Or not comment down below because the chat's not open, but give me a thumbs up if that is making sense now, especially if it was a bit uncertain before. Okay, so I think we will probably just do one more question for today. Again, don't want to take too much of your time. It is getting late. So let's have a look at this question and that will finish us off for today. So we've got a locker combination here. Okay, so this is kind of similar to the ordering, except now we still do we've got a 5-digit code. We still do 5 digits. We still write out 5 digits. Okay, we still write out 5 digits. However, now the only difference is that instead of, trying to rank things, we are basically looking for clues to fill in to different spots. Okay, so we can see that the code uses 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That already helps us. Okay, now again, having a glimpse of the answers, we can see that in the answers, it's just looking at random collections of facts. So quickly having a glance at the answers will help you rule out things and will help you get the answer potentially before you finish. And by the looks of things, you might not even be able to solve the whole code. But again, it's important to solve the answer, not just the code. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense. Now, let's just get through, look for concrete clues first. Notice again, in the answers, actually, we have, or in the question being asked, right, we have a bit of a clue. So make sure you don't miss that, but it's not a concrete clue. Now, the concrete clue, let's have a look. Each digit occurs exactly once. Second digit has a value exactly twice that of the first digit. The value of the third digit is less than the value of the 5th digit. So we actually have quite a lot of, difficult clues to work through. Okay, difficult clues to work through. So, but the thing is that it's 5 digits and we only have 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 to deal with. Can anyone see what we can do first? Comment down below if anyone can see what we can do first. There's a bit of a tricky one here, and sometimes you won't have concrete clues. And here doesn't seem to be concrete clues. Can anyone see what you can do now? Comment down below if you guys can see. Okay. All right, I'm seeing a few different options. Okay, so one thing that I immediately saw is there's a few things here, right? We can see that, let me turn off the chat now. Okay, so the value of I'm seeing a lot of people commenting 3. Now, I'm not sure exactly whether you guys are talking about the third digit or whether the number 3, but one clue that you can use, again, there's probably different ways to approach this, but one clue that I immediately see is the idea, right, of exactly twice that of the first digit. Now, we only have a few numbers to deal with, right? So we're told the second digit has a value exactly twice of the first digit. And we only have a few numbers. So what is the only, there's only a few ways that this can happen. What are the only few ways, the only 2 ways, right, that this can actually occur? A second digit being exactly twice. What digits are the only 2 ways this can occur? Let me open the chat now. Hopefully I don't lag out. It's a bit laggy. Let me know, guys. What are the only 2 ways this can occur? Okay, good. There are only 2 ways this can occur, and people are getting them. 1 and 2, and 2 and 4. So let me just explain what that means for those who are a bit unsure, because this is a tricky one. And again, tricky questions you got to work through and slowly until you really understand them. Then you can start working on efficiency. So, okay, that means that really with these digits, the only way you can get double another digit is if you have 2 and 1. Okay, so this is the possibility. Okay, and then the other possibility is having 2 and 4. So those are the possibilities. Now, either way, we can see that 2 has to be used over here. We can see that 2 has to be used over here. Now, what this tells us is that no matter what, 0 and 3 are going to be in one of these 3 spots here. Okay, no matter what, because 0 and 3, there's no possibility in which 0 and 3 can go there. Okay, now we've also got the clue here of the third digit not being 0. So now we actually narrow it down even more to 0 just being here. All right, so I'll say 0 is here and 3 is over here. So notice, without any concrete clues, sometimes you can still get your answer without any concrete clues. Okay, now looking at the answers, do we have anything yet? The 5th digit of the code is 1. We can't say that for sure. Now, none of these I don't think we can rule out immediately until we actually understand more of the question. But yeah, it looks like we can't rule out anything straight away. Now, the next clue I want to draw our attention to, so we've kind of taken this into account, the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's fine. Each digit occurs exactly once. We've taken that out. Now, the reason I'm ruling these out is so that we can basically focus on what is actually important now. Because now we know that the trick, we've accounted for this clue as well. We know that the trick has to lie in these 2. So basically eliminate anything that you know you can't use any more of, so that you can just be left with the, purely what is the relevant clues. So the second digit has a value exactly the first digit. So we kind of already accounted for this one as well. So now it looks like the only clue to look at is this: the value of the third digit is less than the value of the 5th digit. Now, can anyone tell me what this tells us? Comment down below. There's actually a very specific thing that this tells us. Can anyone comment down below? What does this tell us? What clue does this actually give us? I don't want to see you guys just commenting the answers. I want you guys to tell me, what does this tell us? Good. I'm seeing some answers getting it. The idea that, okay, look at the 0. The 0 is only either between these 2 spots. The 0 can only go here or here. Now, I want you guys to tell me, give me a thumbs up for yes or a thumbs down for no. Can a 0 go here? Is this possible? Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no. What do you guys think? So I'm seeing a bit of a mixture. Notice, look at this clue, right? Value of the third digit is less than the value of the 5th digit. So the 5th digit has to be more than the third digit, okay? So now I'm seeing a bit more of a switch over, more down, thumbs down, because you can see that there's no way this number can be more than this number if it's 0. There's no negatives here. We're not going anything crazy here. So 0 is literally the lowest number there. So it's impossible for the third digit to be less. So notice sometimes some of the techniques you need to use go a little bit outside the box. Okay, so in this case here, we see that, okay, well, 0 can't go there. Now, out of these 2 options, 0 has to go here. Now, we don't really know anything else. We don't know anything else here, right? We can't tell if we have a 3 here or a 1 here or anything. We don't, well, that wouldn't work, but 1 or 3 here, you don't know. There are multiple possibilities. But what must be true, if we look through our answers, second digit of the code is 2. This doesn't have to be true. It can be true, but it doesn't have to be true. So A is ruled out. B, again, can be true, doesn't have to be. What we do know, we've placed for sure, the only thing we've actually placed for sure is that the 0 has to go here. And that is option C. The 4th digit of the code is 0. Okay. And then again, you don't know for sure anything about that. So let me know if that makes sense, guys. Give me a thumbs up if that is making sense. This question. I think this is a very tricky one to finish off with. It did need a lot of problem solving, but hopefully the techniques throughout this little free lesson here, as well as the techniques that you guys have gained elsewhere, or for Scholarly kids, the techniques we've been working on, hopefully those are actually making sense. So actually, that is the last bit of content we will do for today, guys. I want you guys to comment down below if you guys have any other questions. Now, I do want to mention, because I was getting some private messages from some parents asking about some programs. Now, I will mention just for those parents who are interested. So if you are interested, make sure you listen to basically what I'm going to go through now. So we basically have the holiday program starting next week. Essentially, during the holidays, a lot of kids will basically slack off and, just basically spend their days doing nothing, and they'll find themselves very bored, those kind of things. So we do have some holiday programs. If you're, kind of pumped and pushed to get ahead, learn these kind of techniques. We do have some spots left, 2 or 3 spots left, I believe, in the holiday program. So I think that there will be a link in an email you guys get if you are interested in that. So I would definitely jump on that. Now, the idea is the techniques we've gone through today are specifically for logic games. If you wanted to see some techniques for other topics, different other certain, not even thinking skills, just maths, English, everything, the classes are something that are an opportunity for you guys to do if you are interested. Now, really, to be honest, we really believe in having hard questions. As you notice here, a lot of these questions are quite challenging. A lot of other tutoring colleges often have questions that are very easy. And to be honest, it often will lead to you having this false sense of security. I've seen a lot of students have this idea in other tutoring colleges where you go in to the test having done all these easy practice questions. And then by the time you get into thinking skills test, especially the one just gone now, there were some curveballs that were pretty crazy. Okay. And kids that weren't prepared were just left with a few questions completely blank and just not sure what to do. So that's why we believe in pushing hard and having harder questions where you can learn techniques, learn strategies while also testing yourself to the limit. So if you guys do like the sound of that, then experience the difference. Scholarly is available for that. Let me just show you guys the website just so you know. Again, it's just if you guys are interested in pushing ahead. Okay, so let me just show you, just for those who are interested. Again, if you're not really interested in this kind of thing, hope that you enjoyed the free lesson, and no problem, you guys can leave. There won't be any more actual content. I'm just going to show you guys for those who are interested. You can see here. So this is basically the year 4 thinking skills booster we have during the holidays. Again, this is basically the website here. You can enroll here. You can message the WhatsApp support with any questions. And we have the same thing for year 5. So I would really suggest jumping on this if you are pushed to if you enjoy the idea of getting ahead and making sure you're not wasting your holidays. That's what I would suggest. But otherwise, guys, that is basically the lesson. I hope you all had a fantastic time. I certainly enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone commenting. Sorry that we couldn't have the comments on the whole time, but as you guys saw from some of the spam, it is necessary. So thank you, everyone. Let me know down below if you had a lit lesson, and I hope to see you guys all soon. So thank you very much, and bye for now. Thanks, everyone.